Kate Johnson. I'm a program manager with Veg Michigan. And as you may have heard if you've been to some of our other presentations today, Veg Michigan is a nonprofit organization. We promote plant-based eating for health, for animals, for the environment. And you can find out more about our organization at vegmichigan.org. Or you can visit the table right outside here. Let's see. We also want to make sure that you find details for our upcoming Fall Veg Fest. It's going to be on September 8th from 11 to 5 in downtown Farmington. All right, and if you enjoyed today's event and you want to help us contribute to continue offering hundreds of free programs and services throughout the year, please consider becoming a member. You can learn more about membership at the Veg Michigan table as well. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce our final speaker of the day, Oliver. In 2012, Oliver confronted a life-threatening widowmaker heart attack and was diagnosed with several lifestyle diseases. Fueled by a determination to reclaim his health, he embraced a plant-based lifestyle and implemented positive habit changes. Through unwavering dedication and resilience, Oliver not only improved his well-being, but also achieved the remarkable feat of reversing these diseases. His inspiring journey serves as a testament to the power of lifestyle choices and the potential for transformative healing when driven by determination and positive change. Thank you so much, Oliver. Welcome.
I want to meet that guy. That's fantastic. Happy Saturday, everyone. Thanks for being here. My name is Oliver, and I'm going to be sharing my health journey. We're going to focus on lifestyle diseases and the impact that it has on our body. We're going to talk about the power of food and how it's medicine. And we're going to talk about mindset and how important mindset is in going through your own journey. So my health journey started in 2012. It was in August. I woke up in the middle of the night. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I had water in my lungs and in my throat. I felt like I was drowning. We rushed me to the hospital. When I get there, they run all the tests and they tell me I'm having a heart attack. And mind you, I was 40 years old at the time. So they stabilized me and they told me that they had to do a cardiac cath to see what's going on with my heart. So a day later goes by and I'm in the cardiac cath lab and they are, of course, checking my heart out and they said that I had suffered the widowmaker heart attack, which right here tells you, it shows you, so the widowmaker is when the main artery in your heart is completely blocked. And that main artery supplies oxygen and blood to your brain. If you don't get to the hospital fast enough, you die. That's why they call it the widowmaker. So I had 4 blockages in my heart when all was said and done. So they were going to do 3 stents day 1, and then they had to do a stent on day 2. Well, everything was going well on day 1, and they're finishing up the procedure. And with any medical procedure, there's always risk. So they're finishing up, they're closing up the incision, and something goes wrong, and the sheath that is used to close up the incision in that artery in my groin came out, and I started to bleed out. It was a scene from a movie. The cardiologist performing the procedure jumped on the table on top of me with his palm over the incision to stop the bleeding. It was the most excruciating pain I had ever felt in my life. We're talking about a couple 100-pound guy literally just pressing down. And then a whole team of people rushed in to literally save my life. And here I am awake during this whole procedure. And I'm thinking to myself, the heart attack didn't kill me. This is, right? Because while he was doing the procedure, the cardiologist was like, I don't even know how you're alive, son. You should be dead right now. And so that was playing through my head while this team's rushing in to literally save my life a second time. Obviously, I'm still here, but the procedure they had to do was literally, we know with a cardiac cath, they go in through the groin. Well, they had to go in on the other side and literally fish this sheath to the other side to seal it up. So I had 2 incisions, and when I woke up the next morning, I had a bruise from my top of my knee all the way up to my ribs. Just black and blue from the guy being on top of me. But saved my life. Saved my life. So, while I'm in the hospital, this is when I learned, because typical guy, I won't go to the doctor until I'm really, really sick. Well, I was really, really sick with the heart attack. I also found out I had type 2 diabetes, I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol. I don't know how long I had this. Undiagnosed for probably 5 or 6 years, which caused the heart attack. So, diagnosed with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2. I was overweight, was about 240 pounds, 5'10". Not really 10. And it hit me so hard. Like, how did I let this happen? I mean, I was a dad of 2 girls. I coached soccer 6 days a week. I mean, I thought I was active. I mean, my diet wasn't the greatest. I mean, fast food every single day. But it hit me hard. And for 2 years, from 2012 to about 2014, my health took a downward slide. Like, I couldn't get healthy. I didn't know what to do. I tried every diet known to man. I made some up myself. Nothing was helping. My A1C, my diabetes was getting out of control. My A1C got to 11.9, which, if you guys know, that's fairly dangerous. And it had some really horrible effects on my body. One, the number one cause of blindness in the world is diabetes. I was starting to go blind. I was diagnosed with diabetic retinopathy. The blood vessels in my eyes were leaking fluid. A lot of blood vessels were leaking fluid. So they had to go in with a laser and cauterize all of them to stop the fluid from leaking. Right? But my eyes were swollen. They're swelling up. So in order to treat that, you have to have injections in the eyes. Now, I'm not a big fan of needles. I'm not a big fan of anybody coming anywhere near my eyes. Put the two together. And so for about 3 years, I had to get injections in both eyes every 6 weeks. And again, with every medical procedure, there's risk. And a couple of times, the numbing drops that they placed in my eyes did not work quite as well. So there was 2 occasions where I felt the needles puncture my eyes, and it was painful. And I couldn't jump or flinch because there's a needle in my eye. And the way they have your eye opened up and they stabilize you. It was one of the worst feelings I've had to experience. Diabetes also took away feeling in both my feet. So during that time, in 2 years, I lost feeling in both feet. They're completely numb today because of diabetes, okay? Which is, I gotta tell you, it is one of the worst feelings in the world, not being able to feel grass or sand or anything on the bottom of your feet. During this time, I became very depressed. Anxiety was high. I gained more weight. I ballooned up to about 300 pounds. So I got sleep apnea because of that. So I had a CPAP machine for about a year. It was a tough 2 years. It was a tough 2 years for me. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I literally hit rock bottom. That's what I used to look like, right? That is what I used to look like. The picture in the middle was about November of 2014. I literally was 300, maybe more. I stopped weighing myself, to be honest with you, because it was that depressing to me. I couldn't tie my shoes. I couldn't bend over to tie my shoes. I was embarrassed. I hardly ever went out because I couldn't fit in any clothes. The shoes I did have were slip-ons because I couldn't bend over to tie. It was super depressing. It was absolutely just depressing. I didn't know what to do. I literally wanted to give up. I truly wanted to give up. And then, at the same time, this is happening, somebody very, very close to me was fighting leukemia, and he was losing his battle. And I remember sitting with him that last month of his life. I would go visit him and sit with him for 3 or 4 hours, and he was a shell of a man. But before, he was the strongest guy I knew. Like, I looked up to him when I was a little kid. I wanted to be like him. Star athlete, Mr. Popular, you name it. And he's losing his battle with diabetes, or with leukemia. In January, he passes away. And I'm at the funeral. He's my first cousin. I'm at the funeral, and I'm watching his family just all broken up. And here I am, given a second chance at life, and I felt like I was just throwing it away. He had no choice. Like, he couldn't fight that. He did it as much as he could. And here I am, just throwing my life away. And I'm like, my daughters, I have 2 daughters at the time, they were like 10 and 12 or 7, 9, I can't remember. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't let this happen. And I remember going home that night after the funeral, and I sat in the shower for probably 2 hours, is what it felt like. And I was just crying. And I promised myself that night, is like, I would do whatever it would take to get healthy. Whatever it would take. So, I don't know if this was just divine intervention, but the next day, I wake up, I pour myself a cup of coffee, and I'm sitting in front of the TV. I'm watching Fox 2, and the broadcaster goes, we're going to have this gentleman on who has reversed his type 2 diabetes on a plant-based diet. I'm like, okay, I haven't heard about this plant-based diet. I thought I tried everything. So the person's name is Mark Ramirez. I don't know if you guys know Mark. He's part of Chickpea&Me. So he's on there, and he's talking about plant-based diet, and I'm like, all right, I am going to go plant-based today. So for the next week, all I ate was spinach and oatmeal, because I didn't know any better. Right? I mean, seriously, when you think of vegan or plant-based, what does everybody think you're eating? Salad, spinach, that's it. So that's what I did. For the first week, I literally some sort of salad and oatmeal. I absolutely bombed after a week. I'm like, there's no way this is sustainable. This is ridiculous. I don't know what this guy is talking about. 2 weeks later, he's back on Fox 2, and now he's with Dr. Neil Bernard. Now, Dr. Bernard has got a book on diabetes and stuff like that. And again, they're talking about plant-based diet. But this time, they reference Forks Over Knives. And they reference a couple of other books. So what do? Go out and get those books. And I go out and watch that documentary. And now I'm like, oh, I should have done this first. And so for the next 8 months, I literally studied this way of eating. And I tried 1,000,000 times. And I learned. I learned 1,000,001 lessons. And I attended a lot of support groups, and I started to learn about eating the different foods and recipes and stuff like that, because back in 2015, there were no resources out there, not like today. So it took me 9 months to get an arsenal of recipes together. And then I finally, in August of 2015, August 31st, so this month will be my plant-based anniversary, is when I went whole food plant-based. But the key there is that I didn't go cold turkey. I had to learn a lot of lessons on my way to get there. Because a lot of people feel like the journey to get healthy is like that. But it took me 40-something years to become unhealthy. So I'll take the 9 months of learning how to get healthy. So my journey starts there. And I'm starting to feel good. A couple months go by and I'm starting to lose some weight. I'm feeling stronger. And then I'm like, okay, is my medical team the right team for me? So having a heart attack, cardiology is super important to me. I must have gone through 3 different cardiologists before I found the one that actually helped me on my journey. He happened to be plant-based as well. So I'm like, well, hey, great. So this guy is going to help me. And So and I would start to see him, and he's giving me a battery of tests like I had never seen before. And so he's like, hey, we're gonna run this test on you. We call it the CIMT. We're gonna do an ultrasound of your carotid arteries. I'm like, okay, let's do that. So we do that, and we come back, and results are horrifying to me. He goes, you have the arteries of a 75-year-old man. And I'm 44 at the time, 45. And that just scared the crap out of me. Because here I am at 40-something years old, and you're telling me my arteries are that of a 75-year-old man. And what's the point of me doing all of this if my arteries aren't going to support me much longer? And so in my head I'm thinking, what am I going to do here? And I'm like, okay, let's just, I promised myself whatever it would take, right? So I went hardcore, whole food, plant-based, no oil, no sugar, no salt, for about 6 to 8 months. No cheat meals, nothing. Absolute 100%. We run the test again. And results come back, and he goes, I've never seen anything like this before. And now I'm really scared, right? And he goes, I expected good results, but he goes, your arteries now reflect that of a 45-year-old man. So I'm like, I did that in 6 to 8 months. And all the other cardiologists told me they could never reverse heart disease or improve my arterial age or any of that stuff. And just by eating a whole food plant-based diet, I was able to do that. And so, of course, now I got hope. Right now, I'm starting to feel good. And then there's diabetes now that I'm dealing with, okay? My endocrinologist told me that I could never reverse type 2 diabetes. I would never be off of any of my meds. That this was literally is what the rest of my life is going to look like. I didn't accept that answer, right? Because the evidence from Forks Over Knives and other documentaries and books say otherwise. So now here we go. I'm on this journey, and I'm hell-bent on proving the doctor wrong. And I go another year or so, and I get one of the CGMs put on my arm, right? I go in for the results, and again, what does the doctor say to me? I have never seen anything like this before in my life. And I'm looking at him like, here we go. What bad news are you going to tell me? Even though I know it's not going to be bad news. And the funniest thing is that it happened to be on April Fool's Day when he comes in and he goes, this is a joke, right? And I'm like, he goes, I've never seen a report this clean ever. He goes, how did you do it? And I go, Doc, I can tell you, but you'd go out of business, and you don't want that to happen. And he just looked at me, he's like, you need to teach my patients how to do that. I'm like, you really don't want that. And so he was floored, because I heard from him always, like, don't eat this, don't eat that, typical, right? Don't have fruit, don't eat potatoes, don't eat any of that. I'm like, Doc, I'm not kidding you. I eat like 2 potatoes a day. And bananas. I'm like, you're giving people wrong information. And so on April Fool's Day, I think in 2018 or something like that, diabetes was gone. All my meds. So somewhere in between there, I was off all my high blood pressure medicine, all my cholesterol medicine, all my anything for my heart. I literally was off of everything completely, because I was told that would never ever happen. I mean, I don't know if you've been on a statin before, but my muscles would spasm and cramp up all the time. I would be at work and I'd be like, what is this? For a year, I couldn't figure out what was going on with my body. And it was the medicine that they were giving me to make me feel better, right? And so the beauty of the whole food plant-based way of eating was that I started to buy into hey, food is medicine. And that was such a powerful thing. And I just proved these doctors wrong. And I felt so powerful. It was amazing. So everything's going great. At this point, I probably lost about 80 to 100 pounds. And I'm feeling fantastic. And then 2018 literally smacks me in the face, out of the blue. All right, this is where mindset comes into play. This is where the gift that keeps on giving of diabetes comes into play as well. So 2018 just hits me in the face. Divorce happens, lost my job, and then because I don't have any feeling in my feet, I don't realize that there's an ulcer on the bottom of one of them. I'm walking around my house and I see blood spots on the floor, thinking that was my dog, his paw got cut. And I'm like, what is this coming from? And then I realize in my shower, I see it on the wet tile and in my bathroom. I'm like, what is this? Look in the bottom of my foot, and there's something called an ulcer. There's a little hole in the bottom of my foot. I didn't know what this was. Nobody ever warned me about this. So I put a Band-Aid, Neosporin, right? You just try to treat it yourself. Nothing happens after about a week and a half. So I go to see a podiatrist. It's like, you got an ulcer and it's starting to get infected. So he puts me on antibiotics. So after about 8 days on there, I'm feeling sick because I'm not good with antibiotics. And I call the doctor and I'm like, hey, I don't feel good. Can we stop the antibiotics? He's like, yeah, let's stop them. Come in, we'll try to do something else. Within 4 hours of me stopping the antibiotics, my foot, be prepared, looks like that. That is literally in the hospital. That is the infected foot. The ulcer was right behind there. I didn't think it was anything, right? I thought, they're just gonna give me some antibiotics, a different kind, it'll heal up. They admitted me into the hospital because they were very concerned about this infection. 4 o'clock in the morning, next day, the surgeon comes into my room, wakes me up, and he goes, we think this infection is really bad, and there's a good chance, I quote him, there's a good chance we will have to chop half your foot off. Yes, exact words. I will never, ever forget that. And at 4 o'clock in the morning, what do? Like, I have no idea what to do. And yeah, I cried. Truth, I cried. Because in my head, I'm like, what am I going to do without a foot? Right? I'm a soccer coach. I'm on the field 6 days a week. What do? I literally cried. So they're like, we have to take you into surgery right now because this could be horrible. 7 o'clock in the morning, they prep me for surgery, and I wake up, and the first thing I look at is my foot, right? To see if it's still there. And I look, and I see toes. So lucky for me, I got in there soon enough where all they had to do was remove a small bone that was horribly infected. It's the 5th metatarsal. Literally, it's right there. You can actually see that spot. I woke up so grateful that that's all it was. But that's because of diabetes, right? Unchecked, uncontrolled, totally preventable. Because I don't feel pain in my feet, I didn't feel the ulcer. I mean, you could literally quote, they could make an incision in my foot and I wouldn't feel it today. That's how bad it is. So here's the rough part. So now they send me home. They have to I have to administer my own antibiotics through a PICC line because they're worried about sepsis. Well, the antibiotics did some damage to my kidneys. So after I was done with the 8 weeks of antibiotics, I was diagnosed with stage 3 chronic kidney disease because of the antibiotics. Plus the diabetes being unchecked for so long and the high blood pressure that I had. So that was a tough pill to swallow. So 2018 was a horrible year. By the time 2018 was done, I literally couldn't walk for 6 months. It took me a while to be able to get there. And then again, at that point, it's like, enough of this. I had so many pity parties. I felt sorry for myself. And I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I promised myself. So then, 2019, I turned it all around. My mindset changed. I pushed hard. In the summer of 2019, I was on Fox 2 with Mark. We did a Meatless Monday segment. They did a feature story on me that aired during their health segment in the morning. It was like a dream come true. And then that year is when I decided that I was going to become a health coach and a life coach, because I wanted to share what I learned and teach it to other people so that we could prevent disease, prevent what I had gone through. The other part is I also started becoming, I started to do my yoga certification too. Because the funny part is my cardiologist, when I first started seeing him, he wrote me a prescription for yoga. And I'm like, what? Yoga? I mean, what am I, you kidding me? And so I go show up to yoga, because I said, whatever it takes, right? I'm the only guy in there. I'm the only guy in there. And I'm like, I just feel so weird. I loved it so much that like 2 or 3 years later, I'm like, well, I'm going to teach this stuff. I want to learn yoga. So when I go help people, I can help with everything. Habit change, the life coaching part of it, and then the physical aspect. And it was absolutely one of the best experiences I've ever had. And I did this during COVID, and it was tough, but man, I did so much better because I just want to help people. I don't want anybody to go through the crap I've been through. Honestly, all this was preventable. So I ended up losing almost 130 pounds now. That's where I'm at. No meds. Again, like I got certified in everything. And then 2023, something unexpected happens. My friend diabetes shows up again in a different way. I'm standing in my kitchen in front of my refrigerator, and all of a sudden my foot pops. Loud pop, and a shooting pain goes up my shin, and I drop to the floor. And I have no idea what this is. I crawl to the couch. About a half hour later, I drive myself to the hospital. My foot is swollen, and they're like, yeah, we x-rayed, but there's nothing wrong with it. You have cellulitis, so it's an infection of the skin, right? So they give me antibiotics, more antibiotics. And I go back, 2 weeks go by, the 10-day treatment, and it's still very swollen. So I go see my podiatrist, and I go, what's going on? He goes, let's x-ray again. So they x-ray again. He goes, I have a bad feeling about this. I think I know what this is. Great. He goes, you have a condition called Charcot foot. What the hell is Charcot foot? I've never heard of this thing, right? He goes, we look at my x-ray, and he goes, your foot literally looks like a bag of crushed ice now, the bones in your right foot. And I'm like, what do we do now? He goes, this is what happens when you have neuropathy. So Charcot foot is a condition, it's a rare bone condition. He goes, this is what happens when you have neuropathy. So Charcot foot is a condition, it's a rare bone condition that only affects 1% of the population of people who've had diabetes and neuropathy. And yet I got it, somehow. And the danger of Charcot foot is that my foot can collapse, the ankle can collapse, and usually leads to reconstructive foot surgery, which also leads to infection, which usually leads to amputation. And I'm like, thanks, doc. So we treated it in a way where he didn't want to do any surgery. So I was literally no weight on my foot for 8 months. So I was wheelchair, boot, crutches for 8 months to let it try to heal up. So my right foot is deformed, but the arch is still in place, so I'm very lucky. But again, never knew about what is Charcot foot, and here's diabetes coming back at me again. Could have been prevented, right? So that hit me, and then in December of 2023, I got sick, and I don't know what it was. It could have been like COVID or something like that. I tested, and I didn't feel well, and all of a sudden I started to gain fluid. Like my feet started to swell up, my ankles started to swell up, then my calves started to swell up, and sometime in mid-January, I literally was a balloon. I was like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I didn't know what was going on. So I take myself into the hospital, and they're like, yeah, you have end-stage renal failure. So my kidney stopped working, and I had to have emergency dialysis. So type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heavy antibiotics, all caused my kidneys to fail. And again, every single bit of this is preventable, right? So now I go to dialysis 3 days a week, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 5 a.m. So when people say that eating healthy is expensive, let me tell you, your time, the time you never get back, you can't put a price on that. The stress I put on my family, can't get back. The amount of times I've been in the hospital, you can't get back, right? And so dialysis 3 days a week. But I don't let any of this stop me, right? To me, I feel like I've been blessed with all of this, because this gives me the opportunity and the platform to share this story and maybe scare the crap out of people sometimes. But this is all, if you control your diabetes and your blood pressure and the way you eat, this never happens. But I don't let this stop me. I literally go live on TikTok every 3 days a week, 3 mornings a week, sharing my story. And hundreds of people are in there watching and listening and learning on how to prevent this and how to get better and how to heal. And that's the whole part, is that with the power of food and the power of a mindset, all of this can be done. It can be reversed. If they tell you you can't do something, question it. They tell me that I can't reverse end-stage renal failure. That's I asked them. The first question I asked them, can I reverse this? And the doctor was like, it's impossible. And I just kind of laughed at him. And I'm like, all right, we'll see about that. And so there is some evidence that on a modified whole food plant-based way of eating, you can restore some functionality. So right now I'm hell-bent on trying to prove some people wrong. But I guess the moral of the story is like, if you put your mind towards anything, you can do this. I mean, I have a great story. My dad, 73 years old, he got diagnosed with pre-diabetes. His A1C was like 6.8. He's like, what do I do? I'm like, Dad, it's not going to be easy. That guy, next day, went cold turkey, whole food plant-based. No joke. And in 6 months, he dropped his A1C from 6.8 to 5.8. And if he can do it, I mean, he's old school, from the old country, who we talk about, and he did it. And so, if he can do it, and I can do it, everybody else can do it. And so that's why I share my story, to scare people into getting healthy, to understand what can happen, the lingering effects of things like diabetes, and the power of plants. Plants are, food is medicine. I truly believe that. I'm proof of that. And I tell people, what you put in your body either feeds disease or heals you. So be very mindful of what what you do. So that's my story so far. If anybody has any questions, comments, anything, I'm here to answer, whatever. But I appreciate you letting me share my story today. Very grateful.
Thank you.
Any questions? Yes.
Just curious, is there a base of something that keeps you going? The strength that you have?
You know what? I think about my cousin a lot. I do. And I think about my daughters as well. And that pushes me, like, all the time. All the time. And so people will say daughters as well. And that pushes me, like, all the time. All the time. And so people will say, hey, how are you so strong? Why do you have so much willpower? I'm like, I had to practice that. I practiced that. Like, every time I wanted to eat that extra piece of something, I stopped and I'm like, okay, I gotta be mindful here. I'm gonna have some willpower. And it took a lot of failed or learning lessons, because I don't think they failed, to get there. But again, my cousin passing away and my daughters. So I will not stop, absolutely not. Like, when you see the smile on my face, because the last picture was me in dialysis, right there. And no joke, I smile all the time. I wake up with that attitude. People are like, how is that possible? I'm like, you train yourself. If you want it bad enough, you train yourself. And that motivation is always going to be there, no matter what. I mean, literally, when they told me I had end stage, I should have been crying. I should have been like, life is over. People were like, yeah, the dialysis is a death sentence. Now you're living on borrowed time. Somebody told me that 2 weeks ago. You're living on borrowed time. And I looked at the person and I'm like, you might be living on borrowed time. I'm living on gifted time. Gifted time, right? That machine, his name is Jarvis. I've named my machine Jarvis, right? So people get a kick out of him when they see me on TikTok. They get a kick out of him because they actually say hi to Jarvis now. But that machine keeps me alive. That machine filters my blood, cleans the toxins. I gained 70 pounds of fluid in less than 2 months because my kidneys failed. 70 pounds. Just because that modern medicine right there saved my life again. But yeah, that's what drives me. Now it's like my mindset is I can do anything. You know, when they tell me I can't, I just like underestimate me. That'll be fun. I mean, that's truly how I've trained my mind. Yeah.
So I stepped in a couple minutes late, but with your weight loss and changing to a plant-based, you weren't able to reverse the diabetes? Had it been gone too far?
Yeah. So I reversed diabetes. Like I don't have diabetes. My A1C today is 5.2.
Okay.
But the damage is done. Like I can't.
Right. Yeah.
The nerve damage to my feet,
yeah,
done.
my dad has that.
The nerve damage to my eyes, done. The damage to my kidneys. Yeah, that's why when people say I don't want to go to the doctor because I want to find out what's going on with me, I'd be like, find out now what's going on with you.
So you were able to reverse being on meds and
Yes.
getting your numbers down,
Yes.
but the previous damage had already been done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, if I just would have gone to the doctors
Right.
for a physical,
Yeah.
I would have, none of this would have ever happened.
And then a second question, are you able to receive a transplant?
So I'm in the early stages of going through that whole process.
Okay.
So it took me about 2 months to get the fluid off my body.
Yeah.
I didn't want to think about anything else at that point. So right now I'm working with 2 clinics
Okay.
on getting tested, because it takes about six months to go through all the tests to see if you're eligible.
Oh, okay. For a transplant.
Yeah. So I'm hoping for a miracle first, and then the transplant second. So we'll see.
Wow.
Yes.
So you said you watched the documentary, what was it called? Forks Over Knives?
Yeah, forksoverknives.com. That's like the holy grail of going plant-based. And there's a documentary too, so you can watch it free on YouTube. That's fantastic. They'll talk about the science about why a plant-based diet works.
Any other
What's that
videos?
website, say that again?
forksoverknives.com.
Any other videos or?
Any other websites? For sure. So there's another documentary called The Game Changers, which a lot of focuses on pro athletes. It's sponsored by like Schwarzenegger and Novak Djokovic and a couple of other pro athletes. That's a great one as well. And it doesn't touch, because I stay away from the anything that has to do with animals and the environment, stuff like that, because it's hard enough saving myself. If I'm saving the planet and animals at the same time, great, but it's hard enough to try and save myself. So those two kind of stay away from the environment and the animal aspect of it. I mean, Veg Michigan is all into that as well, and I support it. But for me, it's my health is right now is the most important. So I recommend those. But then there's nutritionstudies.org and nutritionfacts.org, which are great websites as well.
Thank
Yeah, and there's a plan. Like today, like when I started this, there was no websites with recipes, and now there's 1,000,001 of them. If you just Google plant-based recipes, you'll find a ton. For sure.
Are you still doing your coaching?
Yes.
I'm just curious.
Not soccer coaching. I stopped soccer.
I stopped doing soccer.
I stopped soccer coaching, but yes, as far as health, life coaching and yoga, yeah, absolutely.
Because something that I'm going through right now, I've been a vegetarian for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
I've been healthy, been athletic, I was a soccer player, and I recently got diagnosed with breast cancer. So I'm going through treatment right now, and it's like, okay, like this hit me like a ton of bricks. Like I thought I was always healthy, right? But you know, you can relate to that. It's like, yeah. But so I'm here because I'm trying to, you know, yes, there's times where maybe I'm not eating the best foods, but still vegetarian.
Yeah.
You know, but this is a good reminder to okay, let's start looking at what I'm eating and like you said, what you're feeding your body because now I need that as medicine.
Yeah.
What's that first one? You going through what type of
Breast cancer.
Oh.
I need to speak with you.
So I just like told everybody.
Yeah.
But I figured this is the place to do it, right? That's why I'm here to just get some information. I'm going to be meeting with a dietitian.
Yeah.
I'm going through like Henry Ford Hospital, and they have a really good program with a therapist that works with cancer patients and things like that.
Sure.
So I'm just trying to get as much information and be as proactive as possible.
Yeah, it's a great step, and I have friends who have encountered different types of cancers, and one of them literally decided not to do like chemo or something like that, and went completely raw vegan or raw plant-based, and it's amazing the results she's getting from it. Food is truly medicine.
Right.
It really is. So in conjunction with modern medicine and plant-based.
And that's what I'm trying to do. So
Yeah.
And I caught mine very early, so women get your mammograms.
And that's the thing, right?
So I
So
probably
it's simple as that.
Yeah,
It's going
hoping
to
to pass the chemo and just do the radiation.
Absolutely.
But again, during radiation, it's like right now I'm recovering from surgery. And with the radiation is what can I put in my body that's going to help me
right.
get through the treatment, but also not have all the side effects and impact, you know, those long-term damages
Right.
that the radiation will do as well.
And that's a great way of looking at it, because a lot of people, like when they go on a health journey, the first thing they think about is what am I going to cut out of my diet? So a lot of people cut things out of their diet, but when I coach people, I don't ask them to take anything out of their diet. I would ask them, what are we going to add to your diet
Right.
that's healthy for you?
Yeah.
Because the minute you start taking things away, you know what your brain does?
It
Fights
wants
it.
it. It wants
Yeah.
it.
It wants
That's
it
the thing,
more.
you don't want to be restricted.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be restricted and look at it more as, and I've done it, 'cause I've done a lot of mindset, like coaching, but I have two, kind of life coaches that I work with, today, but one of them's very good on the mindset change. where,
Yeah.
You know, going into my surgery, I did some work and.
Yeah, it takes some work though, right? It's work.
It does, but yeah, it's like, let's not look at, oh, I can't eat that, I want the chocolate or whatever. It's making better choices for the majority and then being able to have those little splurges when you want them,
For sure.
but making for the most part.
I have this phrase that I use all the time. I say, choose your heart. When you're on your health journey, I say, choose your heart. Right? So, if you want to eat potato chips today, that's great, but your heart is going to be tomorrow. Where you feel like crap, you don't fit in your clothes.
Yeah.
Or you can choose your heart, I'm going to eat this healthy meal today, sure, that's hard because I don't want to eat it, but then tomorrow morning, you feel great, you're not bloated, you have energy. So choose your heart,
Right.
because going on a health journey is not easy, it never is.
But eating the wrong things is,
Yeah, I mean,
it's hard too, because it's gonna.
you know what, but people ask me when I went plant-based, they're like, how, this is so hard, how do you do it? I'm like, it's hard until it's easy. Now it's like breathing like a guy. It doesn't, it's easy for me now, because I've done it so long. It just takes practice. Practice makes progress, and that's the whole point. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, anybody else? Any other questions?
We wish you good luck.
Oh,
Good
I don't need luck.
Whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm good. People are like,
Keep doing what you're doing.
yeah, people are like, oh, you know, prayers and this. I'm like, listen, send the prayers to somebody else. I got so much energy and stuff, and you might as well feed off of me at this point. Yeah. So yeah. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for listening to me.
First of all, I gotta talk to Sarah.
Well, thanks so much, Oliver, for sharing your story. It was so moving. Maybe you guys want to give another round of applause for Oliver. That's such a crazy way to close out the presentation series. Just wanted to remind everybody that if you'd like, you can visit the Veg Michigan table for more information before you leave. And looks like we've got about 15 more minutes to enjoy the things we have going on. So thank you again for coming today.